Do you think, or do you have a feeling that Jesus would have been black? He could have been white or black because the Bible doesn't say what he was. So recently, Russia opened its centuries-old vaults to reveal that Jesus was black. There is a possibility that Jesus was black from the icons that are years and years old. Welcome back to the Alpha House, and today we are speaking about a very interesting topic. Interesting if you're open-minded, and also could be controversial if you're those kind of Christians who are very uptight and do not want to read things that maybe you've not seen written in the Bible, or you do not want to ask questions beyond what your pastor or the priest or whoever you believe in has taught you. So today we're talking about the recent revelation by Russia on the issue of black Jesus. The question we're asking is, do you think, or do you have a feeling that Jesus would have been black? He could have been white or black because the Bible doesn't say what he was. But I want to know what you think. From what you know and what you've read, do you think Jesus was black? Share with us in the comment section. And now let's start off. So recently, Russia opened its centuries-old vaults to reveal that Jesus was black. The newly unveiled icons reveal that Jesus, his mother Mary, and Joseph, and other biblical figures that were featured could have been black. Russia, the question now everyone is asking is, has Russia made up its own Bible to come up with these black figures? No, really. They still hold on to the same Bible other Christians have been using. They even still hold on to the same Christianity that we hold as Christians. But that's what they're saying. There is a possibility that Jesus was black from the icons that are years and years old that they've just revealed to the world. In fact, for you to just be sure that Russia is still Christian and still believe in the Christian faith, the biggest church in Russia is the Orthodox Church. Which for Africa could relate in that Africa also has the Orthodox Church, and it's actually big in Ethiopia. However, the two churches are not the same, and I think this is common across the world. Like, you know, you could have the same church, but with different sort of practices, all believing in the same God. So yeah, that's something. So hence the revelation could relate now to what some Christians, and especially a number of Ethiopians, have long argued, that Jesus would have been black or was black. Many Christians over the years have always questioned why the image representation that we've always seen of Jesus is a representation of a white man with blue eyes. I mean, the image looks all good and all like he was such a kind person, that is the human form of Jesus was kind and all that. But the Bible doesn't define whether the skin color of Jesus was white or black. So this is something that has been a topic of discussion over the years with a lot of us Christians. And if you've read the Bible, of course, you know it provides limited descriptions. And what we know so far, what the Bible says is what most of our knowledge about Jesus comes from the books of the Gospels. Of course, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's what is referred to as the Gospel. So according to the Gospels, Jesus was a Jewish man born in Bethlehem and raised in the town of Nazareth in Galilee, which is formerly Palestine, but is now northern Israel. So the Bible doesn't say much of how Jesus spent his youthful years, because I think, if I am not wrong, all we know about Jesus was his childhood. And I think at the age of 12, where he got lost in the temple, that's where the last explanation of Jesus from the Bible in terms of his age growing up. After that and the other time he appears is when he's being baptized by John the Baptist. So there's a gap here, because this was between 12 and 30 years, because Jesus started his ministry at 30. So these years between 12 and 30 are not explained, and so there's a lot of what people speculate. What happens at this age? At 30 is where he gets baptized, and then he starts his ministry, and that's in the book of Luke. Even then, the Bible, after this, all they say is he was baptized, the Spirit of the Lord came down, and he began ministry. So even then, little information about Jesus' physical appearance was given during this period, except that maybe he didn't possess any distinctive features. Maybe he was just a normal human like me and you. And maybe everyone who saw Jesus in person saw him in the color that they were allowed to see with their eyes. Like if I'm black and this was Jesus, maybe I could see him as black. If I was white and I saw Jesus, maybe I saw him in white. Nobody knows. So we can only keep speculating. When Jesus was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane before his crucifixion, again, Judas, when he told the soldiers who were to arrest Jesus, he told them the man he would identify would be the man that they would arrest. But he never gave them a description. You know, you tell someone when you go there, look at the guy with a big nose or an eye that looks different or his height. He didn't mention all those things or the skin color. How he was to identify Jesus was through a kiss, which is so weird because does it mean that Jesus and his disciples had the same sort of look? Because how would you not be able to identify one man in a group of 13 in terms of a distinctive feature, you know? So maybe, again, my thoughts would be Jesus was different in appearance to every person that saw him, maybe. Because then if a kiss is what was to show who Jesus was, then we have a lot to maybe speculate on. So so that's one of the things that we keep speculating. And the question is, did the Bible leave that part of description out of intentions? Was it like intentional that we should not put this because then if we put color, then it will make people keep arguing over something or looking at one skin color as superior to the rest of them? Or was it a thing of if we put this, then one nation would feel like Jesus had, you know, other things that that one nation mattered more than the rest? I don't know. That's just speculation. So that's one of the things that may be why then the whole idea of having Jesus being black is coming to the public now. So the other thing that maybe people have been questioning is, then if that was not put in the Bible, and of course the Bible has a quote where it says not everything would have been put in the Bible, that not everything would have fit, but whatever was written so that we may believe as Christians. And of course we believe, we're just thinking outside the box, which is, I think, allowed, and it's a free will that has been given to us to do so. So the other thing, the recent revelation that came out from Russia has sparked conversations around color of Jesus. But most Christians, even in Russia, actually still hold on to faith, arguing that it doesn't matter. It didn't matter back then. It does not matter now, and it may not matter in future what color Jesus was. It's actually an issue for most, but what people still hold on to is they believe that there is God and his essence is with us every single day, which I also believe in. So the color is really not an issue. It's just thinking, just to know, because knowledge is good. So the origin, let me just give you how Russians ended up adopting the Orthodox Church, or how the Orthodox Church started in Russia. So the Orthodox Church originated from the Byzantine Empire, which was also existing in Ethiopia. So the Ethiopians were always allied and friendly in terms of with the Byzantine Empire, and they did a lot of business together. This business actually included also trade, and this trade had in it also part of what we call the slave trade. However, the slave trade that was practiced then is not what came to be practiced during colonization, because by then it was not a thing of making people your slaves. It was more of an exchange of, if you get this human, then you're able to, like, you could exchange in terms of your abilities. But then what happened, what we know today as slave trade, was totally different. But during this time, it didn't exist. Racism at this point was not the thing. It didn't exist as we know it today, where some people feel to be more superior than the rest because of skin color. That didn't exist then. So it's good that we mentioned that all humans were treated equal at that point. So Vladimir I formed an alliance with Basil II of the Byzantine Empire and married his sister called Anna in 988. After their marriage, then Vladimir I officially changed the state religion of Russia to now what is known as the Orthodox Christianity, and destroyed the pagan temples and icons that existed back in the day. So that's how now Russia Orthodox Church came into being. Now, however, the portrayal of Jesus as a white European man has faced renewed scrutiny with this revelation in recent times. This is in regard to the legacy that we've had of racism in society and pursuit of knowledge and truth. Like, people are searching to understand their spirituality, and with this spirituality comes the question of what was the color of Jesus. Because the portrayal of Jesus as white, then for some people, has been argument that this portrayal of Jesus as white has pushed people to believe that black folks are not as superior as white people because of skin color, because then if Jesus was white, then it didn't matter for black people. Again, I say, maybe what everyone saw, when everyone saw Jesus, maybe the color was different because it's not recorded. So recently, the Russian president moved recently one of the holiest icons from a museum to a cathedral, raising questions as to why it necessitated the act. Of course, many argue that religion and politics are tied and they drive a nation, and maybe that was one of the things why he wanted to move this icon, just to show his part of spirituality and just to remind the world that he's also spiritual, you know. Or also to make, now that you have many Christians, maybe you want the support of the Christian folk. That's one of the things. So since the reveal of the icons, a video of Vladimir Putin again presenting an Orthodox icon to military commanders in April 2023 has been misrepresented by posts online that show him as saying that Jesus was black. However, this story was fact-checked by Reuters media, and the leader did not mention the skin tone of Jesus in either of the footages. The video does not show the Russian president saying that Jesus was black. So a lot of fake news again is coming up, because when it's Russia that has done that, of course it attracts a lot of attention, because again they have a lot of enemies out here in the political scene. So the icons that were unveiled date back to the 1400s, and so they are old, like old. If you look at the images, you can see they are old images. Some people argue that they look old. They may have been white images, and over the years, because of, since 1400, that's many years back, then maybe they became black over time. But the other sect is arguing that then why is it that some of the features did not turn black? Maybe the clothes that they wore, if the hands turned black because of time, and then why is it that the clothes did not turn black? So it's a question of everyone questioning why they are being revealed now. So initially, most of these icons were initially private collections, and they survived the Soviet Union war, if you remember about that. And Russians who visited the exhibition claim that they are old but beautiful, and they're about the images that were put in the museum are about 50,000, although they say that before the Soviet Union war, back in the 14th century, there were more than 1 million of those icons. And these images hold the untold stories of history, and begs the question on the presentation of the black people over the years, that if artists back in the day could draw and come up with images of black people, it means that back in the day, black people were superior, or they mattered, or they had a say. But then over the years, the presentation of black people has changed. So Russia claims a lot of icons were destroyed during the Soviet Union war, and others were smuggled out of the country. But of course, over the years, some have been able to be retrieved back. And this is a similar story to African countries. Maybe Kenya, we have such an issue, but the most famous story of Africa that is relatable to such is the Belgium story with Congo. You remember the story of Patrice Lumumba, the remaining tooth that is held, that had been held in Belgium and is supposed to come back to Congo. I'm not sure if they've delivered it, but it was just a tooth that was supposed to be delivered back to Congo, because this was a Congo icon who mattered to them, but then was taken away. So that's one of the things we can relate as Africans. They say the biggest British museum is African, because a lot of African artifacts and icons were taken away. So that's something just to mention. So Russian having shared these black icons has attracted a lot of questions. Some argue that this is just an attention-seeking season for the president of Russia, which is, again, debatable. while others argue that these icons are black now because even back then, these were black people, and nobody should be questioning that by now. So from this whole happening, Russia's sellers are now selling a book titled Russian Icons, which reveals paintings of Jesus dating back to the 1400s. The depictions in the book relate to the Bible stories, except that the image representations are black now in this book. And Jesus, it has, some of them are Jesus on the cross, there are angels, and all these things. And the book is retailing between $1,300 to $3,000. So it's quite expensive. In 2020, Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury and the head of the England Church, in an interview with the BBC, said that the church should reconsider its portrayal of Jesus as a white man. So this is something that has, again, attracted even the leadership in the Christian space to react. When Bishop Welby was asked whether the way the Western church portrays Jesus needed to be thought about again, he said, yes, of course it does, adding that Jesus was portrayed differently in different countries around the world. You go into their churches and you don't see a white Jesus. You see a black Jesus or Chinese Jesus or a Middle Eastern Jesus, which is, of course, the most accurate because of how the Bible details where Jesus was born. He, however, said that the image does not serve as a worship, as the thing that is worshipped, but it's just a reminder of the universality of who God, of the God who became fully human. Again, that's why I was mentioning. Maybe everyone who saw Jesus in person saw him in a different color. That's just what I hold as a belief. And since the death of George Floyd, a lot of statues have been brought down in line with the Black Lives Matter movement, as some believe that these statues and white statues that have been put in public continue to push for a systematic racism which promotes white supremacy. I mean, we've seen it happen in Britain, we've seen it in the US, and yeah, that's just how things have been happening. So of course, a lot of people have been asking, why is Vladimir Putin revealing this image now or opening these vaults to the world now? Number one, in my analysis, how I feel like maybe why he's opening it now, he's trying to portray Russia as a respecter of humans, color notwithstanding. Because of course, we all know the history of the black folks and how the black people have suffered over the years. So maybe this is his way of saying that Russia is a respecter of all colors. Number two, he's probably pushing a stop to the misuse of religion as a divisive tool. Over the years, religion has been used to push for different agendas. Of course, we know across the world, even here in Kenya, we've seen that. And with that in mind, then you would understand why he would be pushing for it now. Something else is that he's trying to beat the American European dominance with the black folks. In Africa, of course, we understand. We've seen Russia trying to gain roots today across the world, especially in Central Africa, where they've even put military bases. They've helped some of the nations that have had coups. So that could be one of the reasons. And finally, maybe he wants to show that Russia has a long history with the black folks. That could be one of the things, because Russia didn't colonize any of the African nations. So maybe that's one of the things that he also wants to show in terms of Russia's relationship with the black folks. And yeah, maybe that's just what I have come up with. And from my research, I believe those are the things that could be the possibilities. So yeah, that's what we've had today about the question of whether Jesus is black or white. You share with us in the comments. What do you think? Is Jesus black? Is he black or white, or was he black or white in your opinion? Also, it's good to remind you that most people in Russia and even Christians across the world, it doesn't really matter the color of Jesus. This is just a thing of knowledge that we're trying to acquire, and also to, get history right, because a lot of history has been rewritten. So maybe we're trying to get history in order for purposes of knowledge, not for anything else, not to change who Jesus was or if his color really matters today. So yeah, share with us in the comment section, and let's see. Let's just discuss and see what we believe. Also, from the images you've seen from the icons that were shared from Russia, what do you think about the images? Just share your feedback with us, and it will be good to have the discussion together. Thank you for joining us today.